Hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, y'all see the title? How Shrek 5 enraged the internet. Yeah, and it made me mad too, but then I realized we blinded by the nostalgia we are. Shrek is 24 years old. They made this 2001. So, yeah, he do look a little bit cartoony, but I mean, nigga, times change. But let's just see.
Oh, hello there! Shrek here, and I'm ticked off at people who think that just because I'm an ogre, I can't dance. I'm Donkey.
Damn, people were right. Shrek 5.
See. I get what they're doing. I get what they're trying to do to make him more happier instead of being mad. But it's like then I realize this isn't for us. We're grown. Now if you want to watch it, you can. But these for the little kids. This for the little niggas though. They'll like it.
5 is different. So the internet, like clockwork, is currently outraged about a new movie teaser. This time it's the long-awaited sequel to Shrek 4, which came out, oh my god, 15 years ago? The teaser for Shrek 5 has been met with various reviews which range from, it looks alright, to demanding that DreamWorks pull an ugly Sonic and take Shrek back to the drawing board. That this is a travesty, spitting on Shrek's immaculate but never-tainted legacy. DreamWorks were put in a bit of a lose-lose situation, being forced to update some aspects of Shrek's world and art style that may have aged poorly, but now having to...
That's the thing with long-awaited things. You just keep waiting it out, and then it got everybody expectations high. Then when you drop it, then nobody don't like it. Now the thing is, like I said, everybody's saying to change it. How are they going to change it if it's already made? I'm pretty sure the movie's already made, right? They're just waiting all the way for a whole year, or they could rearrange the animations real quick. But I think it's already submitted to the higher ups. Then they just do
face the wrath of people who grew up attached to said style, who are hoping for more of a direct sequel to what they grew up with, rather than the visual reboot we're seeing with Shrek 5. Honestly, it's kind of strange to see the average person at least pretend to care about the integrity of Shrek this much, considering the franchise has been seen as nothing more than a dead meme the past decade. When I first got into high school, this was the big thing. Everyone was sharing Shrek memes and quoting Shrek is love, Shrek is life. We all downloaded that Talking Tom clone they put out for a bit. Me and my friends even started a Shrek meme page on Instagram in the hopes of it getting big enough for us to make money.
Nigga mixed with Steve Harvey and Potato Head.
Money from sponsors. I genuinely thought I could get rich off this. Anyways, this video is sponsored by... What puts Shrek 5 at such a disadvantage is just how much pop culture has changed since the release of the last movie, especially in animation. A change which, ironically, was sparked by the release of, well, Shrek. It's easy to forget.
I don't know why he's talking lower as my mic.
I mean, what was it competing against? Tron? DreamWorks had gotten their start due to a desire to beat Disney, and while their initial few attempts simply came from trying to outdo the house of mice of their own game, Shrek went in the complete opposite direction, making an animated family movie so anti-Disney, so different to what people were used to seeing in that sphere, that folks couldn't help but take notice. An animated movie so irreverent, taking the complete piss out of a genre that was basically Disney's bread and butter, it even made Disney insecure about their own projects. I'll never forget how Disney completely animated an opening for Chicken Little where they do their whole storybook shtick like usual, but got such cold feet about it that changed it to make fun of what they spent thousands of dollars already animating, with an opening that's basically just a less funny version of Shrek's. But at the center of all that, at the center of all the crude humor, pot shots at Disney, and references to pop culture from the time, was a good fucking movie. And that continued. For one sequel. Anyways, this is about Shrek 5 and why.
Anything after Shrek 3, I mean, I'll still watch Shrek. I don't, because the thing is, I don't remember them by the title. Like, is the one with the potion when they try to get the potion, is that Shrek 2 or 3? I don't even know really what Shrek. I think Shrek 2 is when I think when Fiona's dad turned into the frog. Actually, let's just see real quick. Let me type it in. Oh yeah, it's the potion. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So Shrek 2 is with the potion. Shrek 3, that's when they all started going down. I mean, I still watch Shrek 3, but I would rather not watch the and Shrek 4. Yeah, we're not even gonna.
It ended up making the internet so angry, in which I have 3 possible answers for. So let's go through them. Here are the 3 main reasons why I think the Shrek 5 teaser sparked such animosity. 1. A new Shrek movie after 14 years. That may sound like a weird point to start on, but really, the time that Shrek came out in played such a...
Can't say that Incredibles took 15 years and Incredibles 2 might be a little bit better than Incredibles 1, but those are both great movies. But like I said, everybody just blinded, not by nostalgia, obviously. 2025. Just let the little kids have it. You know, they like cartoons.
Such a massive role in its success. Like, I think some people forget just how huge Shrek really was. There was no animated movie series from the time that could bring in such a vast crowd, especially with the second and third one. You know, I would personally say that Toy Story is the most beloved animated film franchise of all time, just in terms of legacy, how iconic the characters are, and the general quality level you get out of these films.
Yeah.
Now, at the time of release, Toy Story 2 made around $500 million at the box office. Shrek 2 grossed double that. Even when adjusted for inflation, it's not even a contest. Shrek just offered something so different to what folks were used to seeing in an animated film. It didn't take its story or characters too seriously, oftentimes poking fun at the genre it resides in, referenced a lot of pop culture from the time, and steered away from the art style associated with your average animated film. Notice anything? Well, nowadays, that pretty much describes every animated movie. Shrek was such a big hit and so influential, that what made it so unique has since become the norm. Like, I'm sure in 2001 seeing Fiona do the Matrix bullet time thing was kinda humorous to see on such a big scale, but now, like, I can do it in Fortnite, it's not that shocking. It's become more and more common for media in general, and more self-referential.
Yeah. Easy.
Towards pop culture, and so a large part of what made Shrek stand out now comes off as try-hard and, for lack of a better term, cringe. Not that I think the series should ever move away from it. Again, it played such a big part in its initial success, but it's just not gonna wow folks like it once did in the early 2000s. Hell, I'd say you can see this exact trend play out by comparing the release of Shrek 3 and Shrek 4. Despite the majority of fans looking back on it as the weakest of the franchise, Shrek 3 was still a huge deal when it came out. Made less than Shrek 2, but was still a pretty big success. In fact, I remember this being the only movie I had ever seen in theaters where my entire family wanted to join. Mom, dad, siblings, aunt, uncle, grandmother. It was seen as a big movie event for the year. And even if Shrek fans didn't enjoy it as much, it satisfied a general audience. Then Shrek 4 came out 2 years later and it was like nobody gave a shit. Shrek was over. I mean, there's always a risk when moving on to your 4th film after a trilogy. You know, people are less inclined to watch, which is probably why they simply called it Shrek Forever After. But I don't remember anybody giving a shit about this one unless it was quoting that Do the Roar meme. In fact, I remember leaving this one and my aunt turning around to tell me she thought it sucked. It wasn't because the movie was bad. Most consider it at least to be way better than Shrek 3. But the franchise just wasn't all that groundbreaking anymore. And instead, a new movie had come out that very same year which would grab the attention of the general audience instead. Despicable Me. Now it was all about trying to find the...
Minions is a 10 out of 10 movie. The first one and the second one. I didn't watch the recent one with the Groove take over the moon, didn't watch it. But yeah, Despicable Me, because why they named it 2 different things. They named it Minions, and they named it, but we call them Minions because they are. So Despicable Me 1 and 2.
The next Minions, leaning into cartoony hijinks with sillier character designs that aim to be more cute and appealing than realistic and unsettling. Ew. On top of that, I think what makes the referential humor more bizarre in Shrek's case is that it's no longer solely referencing pop culture. Instead, it's referencing its own place in pop culture.
Who's making this stuff? Not me!
Whoa! The closest the previous films got to that was repeating that one gag with Puss in Boots, but at least that was calling back to something from well within its own universe. Starting this next entry off with Shrek watching memes of himself on TikTok just seems desperate. Which is funny because if this exact teaser had come out a decade ago, people would have eaten it up. I think the absolute worst case scenario with Shrek 5 is a movie more akin to Wreck-It Ralph 2 than any other previous movies, trying to grab the audience's attention by throwing parodies and memes in their face. Certainly wouldn't be out of place in a modern adaptation of Shrek, but nowhere near as novel as it once was. You know, seeing Simon Cowell in Far, Far Away Idol becomes a lot less funny when I can't look at his model without thinking about his horrible cameo in Scoob.
It's Simon Cowell! In the chat!
2. The art style. This is probably the most obvious criticism being made towards the teaser. Being the first time since the franchise's inception we've seen the characters reimagined aside from a slight appearance during DreamWorks Animation's new opening, which kinda looks better than what we ended up with. Either way, again, people are calling this an ugly Sonic tier situation that needs to be addressed when... No, you're dumb. That first Sonic design showed, at best, a lack of understanding for what made Sonic such an iconic design, and at worst, a deliberate ignorance towards why people like Sonic in the first place. Whereas this Shrek facelift more so gives the characters an updated reimagining to try and fit better with the current animation landscape. It's interesting because you see misinformation on both sides of the discussion here. I've seen many say that the original films looked so ugly as a result of the limited technology of the time, when I couldn't disagree more. Shrek's ugly as a result.
Look at this.
Information on both sides of the discussion here. I've seen many say that the original films look.
See this?
So ugly as a result of the limited technology of the time, when I couldn't disagree more. Shrek's uglier aesthetic was very much a part of its design.
Yeah.
I mean, Shrek 4 is a gorgeous looking movie, and it keeps those uglier aspects intact, even after...
Nah, nigga, let me show y'all something real quick. Let me show you how Shrek was originally supposed to be. That's what well, it's not the creators. Some people worked there before. And this was like in 1995 or something. But how do you spell? See? This was the original design right here. This. What if we got this, chat? What if we got in this? Like, look at this. I'm trying to click. What if we got in this? Nah. Hey, niggas just blinded by the nostalgia. Gotta say, let it go. Just like with oh yeah, you know, like the 2016. There would never be no year better than 2016. Like 2016 was the year for everything. There will never be no year better than 2016. Nigga, let it go. And yes, it was. 2019 was great too. Just blinded by nostalgia, man. Cut it out.
After they had the resources to make it look more conventional. But like I mentioned before, antithesis to Disney. So instead of showcasing the
look, it's slowing down. Okay.
Gorgeous sparkling castles, forests inhabited by perfect-looking specimens, Shrek primarily took place in
that's what's going on.
Grimy swamps, dull castles, and realistic-looking woodlands. It wasn't that the art purposefully gross. It was trying to reflect real life, and real life's ugly. You know, their version of a fairy tale kingdom was just LA. Again, I could see that being groan-worthy if done today, but at the time it was a hilarious twist. I can imagine a theater of people roaring in laughter at that Starbucks gag. Humans were modeled to look like actual humans and not like Neutron characters. They had freckle textures, forehead wrinkles, and what's generally considered to be unflattering features, which I think helped with the style of comedy they were going for. It was intentional, every element aided each other. Like, I don't know, I think this Scream face is a lot less funny than this Scream face. despite the newer one objectively being more expressive.
I don't
Since
even
then,
know.
though, animated movies have been more recently moving away from attempting to look as realistic as possible. Even Pixar, a studio known for creating some groundbreaking recreations of realistic lighting and textures such as in Toy Story 4 or Soul, have diverted into making more stylized films like Elemental or Elio. There's no longer a need for every animated movie to look like every other animated movie. In that regard, I think Shrek 5 was actually in a prime position to stick to its realistic art style. You know, nobody's really doing it anymore, you can be the only one. If anything, take it even further, but at the same time, this doesn't look bad. Well, okay,
Nah, though, but hold on.
if anything, take it even further, but at the same time, this doesn't look bad.
Daughter bad. Daughter bad. Need to get the edge, though. Fiona's still bad. Sure.
Well, okay, except Fiona. But the harsh truth is, you're updating iconic character designs people have grown attached to for 24 years. Folks were gonna be pissed no matter what. I'm of the belief that trying something new is appreciated, and overall, again, looks pretty good. But at the same time, you can't say someone is incorrect for preferring the more realistic portrayal these characters once had. It's all preference at the end of the day. If anything, I'm more so curious as to how this art style shift will affect its box office. Animation still has the stigma of being just for kids, and while that is starting to slowly shift, the market certainly shows a preference towards the more bright, colorful, cartoony adventures out there, which only aids said stigma. Having said that, I believe Shrek's art style played such a huge role in its appeal to people who maybe wouldn't be so inclined to check out an animated feature that looked more exaggerated and stylized. There was undoubtedly a certain appeal to people in having an animated film try to be more in line with real life, which I'm positive made some adults feel less embarrassed for watching a movie that's for kids. While it's pure speculation for now, there was a certain grittiness that seems to be abandoned with Shrek 5, and so I'm curious as to how it's going to affect older folks' willingness to see it. 3. The potential story. This one is a little more open, and so I won't go on about it for too long, but the final factor I see angering the internet with Shrek 5 would be the bits of story we can glean from this teaser. While I pray the TikTok stuff is merely there in the hopes of sparking a viral video, not realizing this is coming about a decade too late, it's to be assumed that Shrek 5 will instead be about his relationship with Zendaya daughter, voiced by Zendaya. I also don't know why people are mad about that. I mean, look at the originals cast. I've seen a few people absolutely astonished over them deciding to age up Shrek's kids, which only further leads me to believe this outrage is purely manufactured. I mean, have you seen Shrek 4? They can form full sentences in that one.
Thank you, Daddy.
Ew!
Yeah, I don't think I watched this at all. And if I did, I watched that the very came out. So I don't remember none of this. So
But the worst case scenario I can see is it just being some lame tale about Shrek having to deal with his kids growing up and wanting to see more of the world. But Shrek is worried about his ogre children being alone in the cruel, harsh world without his protection. Basically, I'm praying this isn't just the crude Shrek characters. I mean, why bother at that point? I can't even pretend to know what I'd prefer them doing here. I'm more so just baffled at the fact that Shrek is back in the year of our Lord and Savior. But if there's one thing to take away from all the backlash this trailer has been receiving, it's that the internet, it's change. And so, you should never change anything ever. Keep doing the same thing on repeat without ever evolving or trying anything new. At the end of the day, we're creatures of habit, even when it comes to Shrek.
You know, this is 50 Shades of Shrek and shit.
like I say, move on. Y'all gonna have to move on. Stop being stuck with the nostalgia. That's it. Hey, them niggas need to make their money. Go ahead. Like I say, they're making it for the kids, really. If y'all want to watch it, go ahead watch it. If you don't watch it.